Well, when you've got the shanks, Ben, you don't really want anyone else seeing them.
Just what you want from those who are closest to you. Everyone telling you look like crap. It just warms the cockles of your heart,
The
doesn't it?
experience was unbelievable. The golf was even better. But Ben, I'm sorry you weren't there. Well, I'm not sorry at all.
Yeah. She's done me yet again. I thought I had her covered there, and she's absolutely stitched me. It was exactly the type of performance you expect of someone who's won a national championship.
I incredibly admire the man. He's cast a long shadow that I think I'm going to be forever chasing.
Hello everyone, great to have your company on yet another episode of Hooked on Sport. We are focused in on golf, and there has been so much going on in golf, not only around South Australia, but right around the globe. And I'm always so privileged to break it all down with Sophie Hilditch, who brings all of her expertise and insight each week. Soph, hello, another amazing week. Don't know if you played, it's been difficult to stay dry.
Yeah, no, I didn't play on this weekend. I elected to stay well and truly dry in my house, which actually, to be fair, has water damage. So it's not that dry. It's actually still dripping within the actual house, but
God,
I definitely wasn't out playing golf.
that's been a long-standing issue at your house, still not solved.
Still not solved. We're still waiting, but at least they're attempting. It took a while for me to get them to even attempt to fix my house, Ben. So this is good progress.
I don't know if you know a good lawyer. Oh, that would be you. Yeah, they are probably picking on the wrong person there. And I've got to say, there has been some pretty serious water damage around the place, and we really feel sorry for everyone who has had to deal with that. I know in particular the Athelston Football Club is going to have a lot of time trying to clean up what was a rush of water. I saw an incredible bit of vision from the Kenton Valley Golf Course up there in the hills, and they've got water all over the place. Even your course, Royal Adelaide, which we're going to talk about very shortly, they had all sorts of rain there last night. And the first tee that you would know well has about a 120-metre water carry at the moment with a heap of casual water over the top. Of course, Soph, the RAGC Cup and the LM Gordon Bowl, or commonly known as the Vardon tournament, was played at Royal Adelaide yesterday. The women was won by Millie Winnie. The men's was won by her partner, Blair Christie. And Blair has been good enough to join us now. Blair, welcome to Hooked on Sport and congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks, Hooky. Thanks, Sophie.
Mate, 69 in very, very trying conditions. You must reflect on that and be very, very proud of the round you put together.
Yeah, I just got off to a really hot start pretty much. It was 3 through 4. Had a lip out for eagle on the second. I just said to myself, just stick it 3 or 4 under par and you'll have it done in these conditions. And that's pretty much what I did. I just kept making pars. Had a couple bogeys come in after the break, but I stayed in there strong enough and held together.
Well, let's talk about that because it was a bit of a break. I think it was about 45 minutes in the end with lightning strikes. What did you do in the break? I know it's a bit hard, particularly when you would have been off to a hot start. I think you had 4 birdies on the front 9.
Yeah, I reckon it might have been a little longer. I think it felt longer anyway. It felt like it was a bit over an hour. I didn't really pay much attention. I didn't think we were going to go back out there, to be honest, with tee time such at teeing off so late. But yeah, I had 3 through 4 and then I birdied 7. Unfortunately, parred 9, which I would have loved to have birdied. And then we got to 14 and I was in the greenside bunker and I thought I heard thunder walking down the hole. Didn't say anything to the boys because I didn't know if I was hearing things or not. Like, it wasn't very loud. And then sure enough, get in the bunker about to play my shot and the siren goes.
So take us through what happens from there. The break was extended. You come back, you're feeling a little bit rusty. It's probably not exactly the stroke you want, a bunker shot. I don't know, maybe 15 yards, 40, 50 feet, straight out of an hour break.
Yeah, so walked in, had our break, got the good news that we were going back out there. Not that a lot of those people were happy with that news. I was. And then, yeah, had ball well below my feet. Like I was actually on the edge of the rake line in the bunker. And I was like, I'm going to skinny this. And sure enough, I did. I've hit it to like 35, 40 feet. And I hold a 6-footer coming back for par. So that sort of settled the nerves, which was good.
And it was pretty torrential rain. It never makes it particularly easy. I think it was already a pretty slow round out there as well, with everyone trying to work out where umbrellas were going and all the wet weather gear. I guess that also wouldn't make it easy. Yes, the lightning strike stopped, but the rain definitely didn't. So how did you handle the rain in those conditions, knowing that you were holding probably onto a pretty substantial lead at that time? But a lot of those boys, about 15 of them, still had time to come through and holes to catch up.
Yeah, I just made sure I had the umbrella up the whole time. Fortunately for the start of the round, it wasn't like torrential rain. Like I kind of had the jacket on and off. I took it off where I thought I needed to take it off and just give my arms a little bit of movement and be able to swing a bit freer. And then when it got a bit heavier and when I was around the greens and walking to shots, I'd put it back on just so I'd stay dry. Made sure my towels and gloves were underneath the umbrella the whole time. But yeah, sitting in there, I think the boys behind, because I entered late, I had an issue with entering the event. So I got put in, I think I was about 10 groups from the lead group. And I was sitting in there, I'm like, you got Cade, Malachi, like you got all those boys out there that have the potential to come out and have 3-4 on the trot, and I don't know what they were at the time. I knew Mel was one under, I think Alan was one under when we come in, so there was any chance that one of them could have gone out and shot 5 or 6 under for all I knew.
You play the front nine in 4 under, Blair. I think most people would understand Royal Adelaide off the blue tees when it's wet and it's windy is a very, very difficult course, regardless of the conditions. Is that as good as you've striped it around that place for a while?
Outside of Pennant, yeah, I think although Pennant, we had pretty still conditions. I think if you ask Simon Galley, he had a bad knock of me that day. I had a day out last time we played Royal. I can't remember what I was, but I just couldn't miss a shot. But yesterday in those conditions, and I was actually holding putts, which was really good. I'm not really much of a great putter at times, and to hold putts on a windy day where the greens, you don't know whether they're going to be quick, whether they're going to be slow. So that was really good.
And your partner, Millie Winnie, ended up getting the Ellen Gordon Bowl as well. And that was over Zoe Manton, who I think had shot an even par. And Millie ended up birding 17 in those conditions, which, to be honest, I don't even know how she could see the golf ball because she was coming in at about 5:30 p.m. at night. So that was an incredible finish for Millie. I think it's her second Ellen Gordon Bowl, but what were the celebrations like at home?
Funnily enough, Hooky and I actually spoke about that before we got on the podcast. We didn't end up getting home till, I reckon it would have been 7:30. So it was kind of just eat dinner and we chucked the football on, watched the footy and whatnot. But no, she holed an 8-footer on the last. She actually holed out on 8 from, I think she said it was 57 metres. First shot back out after the break. So I think that might have got under the skin of the other 2 girls a little because I think they had a 1-shot lead over her at the time as well.
Blair, is this your first Vardon win in South Australia?
It is, yeah. I've had a couple top 3 finishes, had a second place finish, but it's the first victory.
Nice to sort of put yourself in and amongst, and, I don't think anyone who knows Pennant golf and knows who are the top elite amateurs in South Australia would be across it anyway. But I guess from the perspective of just having your name on one of these trophies, nice to put your name up in lights alongside, the guys like Cade Bryant who have been pretty deadly in these events historically.
Yeah, especially being at Royal. It's probably the biggest or one of the biggest Vardons in South Australia. So to have that as my first Vardon wins, it's definitely something to be proud of.
Particularly in those conditions, off the tips at Royal Adelaide, it plays extremely long, even in summer, let alone in winter when it's torrential rain. SAM is coming up in about a month's time. You're obviously in some extremely good form. Are you in the field and are you looking forward to it?
Funnily enough, I have not been playing good golf the last few weeks or last couple of months, but that's turned it around. That's sort of given me a bit of a kick to look forward to playing it. Obviously at the home club, which is good. I am entered. I'm in the field. So I've made the match play last year at Vine, so I'd be hoping to sort of have a couple rounds of the high 60s, even low 70s, and should scrape through to the match play again.
Hey, just before I go, mate, have you still got Paul on your bag? I know he spent a bit of time on your bag during pennant season. Is he still under your command?
Actually, he'll probably be jumping on the bag for me at SA. We had a brief chat about it a couple months ago, and I think he'd be pretty keen to jump back on the bag for that. For Pennant, I'll definitely keep him going. We get along really well. He's a ripper bloke, and we really have a good laugh together. So it's I find it's really good to have him on the bag. Sort of gets me away from the golf aspect and sort of. I'm not sort of over hyper focusing on the golf side of things. I can still enjoy my round and enjoy the company while going out and playing golf.
Well, Blair, amazing performance, 69 in those conditions, a winner by 4 strokes at Royal Adelaide to take out the RAGC Cup is an incredibly impressive performance. We've known for a long time in this podcast your quality. Of course, you're the inaugural winner alongside Sadira Bottajau of the Hooked On Sport medal. We are nothing but impressed with what you've done yesterday on the back of what you did in the pennant season. We look forward to seeing how you're tracking the SA Amateur, mate. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Appreciate it, guys. Always happy to come on the podcast.
Thanks
Fantastic.
so much, Blair.
Thank you.
Yes, so congratulations once again to Blair Christie, the winner of the RAGC Cup, and the LM Gordon Bowl winner is Millie Winnie, both from the Grange Golf Club, both from the same address, Soph. So nice to see the two partners taking out the 2 trophies in what was a marathon day at Royal Adelaide Golf Club yesterday. There is a lot of news around South Australian golf, and perhaps we'll start with the saddest news, which is the passing of Nick McCormack, a much-loved PGA professional who spent all of his career in South Australia. He began at the Vines. He went on to work with Golf Australia SA, and then finished his career extensively at the Grange, but he spent some time at the Pat. He was perhaps most known for developing the Sapsaza Golf Under-12 Championships, which continues on today as the Independent Schools Championship. So, yes, we sadly lost Nick in the last couple of days. And we do want to extend our sympathies not only to Nick's family, but all those who have been touched by him throughout his incredible career in South Australian golf, Soph.
Yeah, he's an incredible contributor to South Australian golf. I thought it was very cool on the Golf Australia post that they actually mentioned that it was only just last week that Nick had said that his heart was full after being given the opportunity to commit his life to teaching kids golf. And I think that's just a really special touch. To hear that just at the end of his life, he was still so positive and so proud of what he'd achieved in South Australian golf.
If we head up to the Riverland very briefly, Sophie, the Berry Club Championships have been run and won. Braden Eckerman has taken out his second title, defeating Paul Eleftheriadis, better known as Paul Lefty, runs one of the takeaway joints up in the region, Soph. So congratulations to Braden Eckerman, who just shades Paul Lefty. I think he got it done on the 34th or 35th hole. So a really good quality match. And congratulations also to Macy Hughes, who takes out the women's event up there at Berry. We're heading north of Adelaide once again, not quite so far this time, but Alex Keylock has taken out the boys' Sandy Creek title. So this is the junior title. Keylock is a pretty familiar name up in Sandy Creek, Soph, and also at the Grange Golf Club. So his mum is Susan Keylock. His 2 older sisters are Steph and Lucy Keylock. Alex has won this title, would you believe, by 27 strokes. So this is a 36-hole event that he's won by 27 strokes. So as much as you come up against Lucy and Steph, and I know that Susan Keylock, if you ever meet her in a pennant match, you know you're going to have a fight on your hands. Alex could be following in the footsteps of his 2 big sisters and his mum as well. So congratulations to Alex. So if you've got an ace to report on, and we're going to encourage this owner now of this hole-in-one to get involved in one of our big promotions that we've got going on. But first of all, share us the story of the ace.
Well, huge congratulations to Stephen Clark, who's had a hole-in-one on the 15th hole at Thaxted Park on the 5th of August. Now, I don't know if we're going to count it because we found out through a Facebook post and it wasn't actually DM'd to us. So I'm going to have to reach out to Thaxted Park because I need more information. I need the story. I have no idea how he got this hole-in-one. Was it a good shot? Was it a shank? We've got no idea, Ben. He did win a Molly Duca wine from Thaxted Park, but if we do get a DM, he would be in the running to get another bottle of wine from our partner, the Royal South Australian Yacht Squadron. Look, I've got to say, this has been such a good partnership already. It's only been about 3 weeks and they are an incredible facility. I know a lot of people will probably be worried that they don't have a yacht. And don't worry, neither do either of us, but we have been managed and able to have a lovely meal at the Royal Yacht Squadron. And I know you are actually having lots of lunches there because the fireboat's right out the front.
Yeah, we visit quite a bit. I'll tell you, Soph, I was just thinking about this. If you go to Holdfast Shores and you've got that beautiful marina there and you've got the seafront views and it's spectacular, but you pay a premium at those sorts of places to dine at those exclusive restaurants. And you just got to head a little bit further down the coastline, get to the Royal Yacht Squadron on Victoria Road. The gates are open and you've got an incredible seafront marina type atmosphere. It is absolutely spectacular views, but you don't pay for it, Soph, right? So not only are the prices there very, very reasonable, what you do is you book online and you put Hooked in the gift card section of the online booking. And when you go and pay for your meal at the end of it all, you'll get 10% off. So you've got so many options. There's the waterfront deck, the upstairs restaurant, there's Jimmy's Bar. It is room for the family, whether it's a Friday lunch, Friday dinner, Saturday afternoon. Pop into the Royal Yacht Squadron. Make sure you book online up front, put in Hooked, and in that gift card section, and then you're going to be enjoying very reasonable prices for incredible top-end views, and you're going to be doing it all at 10% off as well. And if you have a hole-in-one, let Sophie and me know, tell us all about it, and you'll be in the running for our magnum of Robert Oatley wine. Thank you to the Royal South Australian Yacht Squadron. So plenty of reasons to get involved and get on board with the Royal Yacht Squadron there. So let's just turn our attention now to what is going on around international golf. The Wyndham Championship was run and won this morning. It's sort of the last minor round event, if you like, before we get into the playoffs on the PGA Tour. Tell us what happened.
Yeah, the Wyndham Championship was won by Michael Brennan, who shot a final round 64 for a total of 22 under. I actually really enjoyed this one because walking off the 18, his mum came running up to him and shouted, "You just made it into the Masters." He's thinking already in April next year. He doesn't.
So good, isn't it?
This isn't just a win. This is like an entrance into the Masters, and that's what's showing how much these kind of wins and how much these events still matter to these players. And I know, like you said, this is kind of the end of the PGA coming to hole, and a lot of those main players weren't playing. You know, we weren't seeing the Rorys, we weren't seeing the Scotty Schefflers, but for those players that are still in it and still in the running, it does still mean a lot to them. This was an interesting one to watch. It was a bit of a birdie fest, a lot of funnel pins, which is kind of my least favourite viewing of golf. So I will admit, I've only really watched the highlights on this one, Hooky, because I couldn't really quite bring myself to watch the full 18 holes. But it's nevertheless a great win for Michael Brennan. It's only his second win on the PGA tournament. Interesting, because his first win on the PGA tournament came back in the end of 2025, and it was his first event. So it's been a bit of a long coming, and I can imagine for Michael, it's been a bit of a, you know, I win my first event, I'm already so hot. And then, yeah, I've only had one top 10 in 2026, and I've realised this game isn't just as easy as winning. You actually have to really fight it out on the PGA.
And so if it means the youngster who won just a week or so ago, Jackson Coyven, has got in on the number in the top 70. So he'll join all of the big names of world golf, obviously, except for those who are on the Live Tour, and including Australians, Adam Scott and Minwoo Lee. So this is where it starts to get serious. I've got to be honest with you, and I think they'll have to sort this out in 2028. There is a real flat spot in the US PGA Tour in between the end of the Open Championship and the 3 weeks where we've just sort of drifted and meandered along until we finally get into the playoffs. I do think there's an argument to suggest that moving the PGA back to August and having the playoffs on the back end of that would make some sense. But it has been a pretty flat period for the US Tour, but it's great to see Jackson Koivu in, and we certainly hope to see Minwoo Lee and Adam Scott go deep into these 3-week playoff series.
Yeah, we definitely do. Well, leading into the fact that there's not any Live players going to be playing in this tournament, can you give us a bit of a rundown of what happened at Live?
Yeah, I can, Soph. So Joaquin Niemann has taken out the title. It is his 9th Live title, winning at Bedminster in New Jersey. I tell you what, I got to say, this tournament lacked a bit of juice. They had a delay of play on the Saturday afternoon, so they finished pretty late on the Saturday, got things back on track on the Sunday. But the crowds were disappointing. I really thought for a Trump course that we would see a lot bigger support, but so the crowds were a little bit disappointing. The big names, Bryson DeChambeau and John Rahm, were a long way down the leaderboard. So Joaquin Niemann, of course, has been an absolute superstar of Live, but he really didn't have the big names around him and pushing him. It was Lee Westwood of the Majestics who struggled a bit, and Harold Varner who ended up as being the runner-up. So it was a bit of a runaway. I think him and Varner were level with 7 holes to play, but then Varner bogeyed his 12th hole, and a couple of holes later, Joaquin Niemann made eagle, and that really just separated them. So there was 3 strokes apart there, and that was the final margin. So John Rahm took out the season championship as a result, despite finishing with a 5 over 76 and finishing in a tie for 41st, I beg your pardon. The Crushers took out the team title. That's their 11th team title, and they did that largely without the heavy influence of Bryson DeChambeau, who normally determines the Crushers' fate. One thought that the interesting thing was that Cameron John got his debut on Live, so he's the Australian Order of Merit winner. He came in and replaced Ben Campbell of the Range Goats very late. Campbell withdrew, and Cameron John got in. So that was probably the big news from a local perspective, outside of the fact that Lucas Herbert got off to a real flyer with a 66 and then fell away to finish midfield. Cameron Smith showed a little bit late after starting a little bit slowly. Mark Leishman, I think, ended up being the top-placed Ripper GC player, and Travis Smythe finished at about 7 or 8 over. A lot tougher course than what we've seen in most of the Live events in the past. So was a real true test, and I think someone like Joaquin Niemann, who's one of the best players on that tour, should really be embracing those tougher contests, because his class is always going to shine through when the conditions are a little bit more difficult. There was no LPGA tournament, Soph, but LET had the PIF London event. Just take us through what happened there.
Yeah, won by the 17-year-old Anna Huang, which has sealed her 4th LET Tour win within 11 months. It was an incredible battle between the 17-year-old and the home favourite Charlie Hull, who actually shot an 11 under in the second round, which was equaling the LET low score record. And I don't know if you were following along on Instagram, but it was pretty cool to see Charlie Hull was actually having fun with juniors on the range, and then went out and shot an 11 under straight after helping some juniors trying to hit balls at the same time and seeing how far they hit the ball. But it was an exceptional final round. Huang started the final round 3 strokes ahead of Charlie, but a water ball on 16 led to a bogey. Charlie had a contrasting birdie, which put her in the lead. However, on 17, in true Charlie Hull fashion, there was a 4-putt for double bogey, and Huang was back in front. She then sunk an eagle putt on the last par 5 to secure her win at 22 under. Like I mentioned at the start, this is her 4th win, and it means she becomes the youngest player to win 4 LET titles and beats the previous record held by Lydia Ko. What a name to stand up next to. I think Huang will be looking at Lydia Ko thinking, I can only dream to have a career like that, but we've already 4 LET Tour wins at the age of 17. I'm pretty excited to see what Huang does next. It's just an incredible start to her career. I also need
I'll just jump in, Soph, before you move on. Anna Huang played at the Women's Australian Open. I interviewed her as part of, who are these players outside of the Australians that could be competitive here?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the European Tour media guys put me on to Anna Huang, and I thought, 17-year-old, she's going to have no confidence whatsoever. This kid bowled up to me like she was a 35-year-old veteran. She was just so impressive. So, yeah, as much as we say 17, that's such an immature age on the golf course. She's mature on the golf course, and she's just as mature off it. So she is such an impressive young person at 17 to be so confidence not quite the right word because that would sort of suggest a level of arrogance, but just so comfortable with in her own skin. You know, it was really impressive to see.
Well, I like seeing her media coverage at the end of this, how she opened up about 12 months ago. She was actually really struggling with golf. Wasn't sure if it's what she wanted to do. Golf wasn't her happy place. And she actually mentioned Lydia Ko in that interview and said it's someone like Lydia Ko that I got to see how they performed on the golf course and the composure that they showed. And with that and the support of her team, it's seeing people, those idols, like Gina Tidical was another one that she mentioned. And that's really what gave her the strength to come back to the game and to start playing and be a bit more patient with herself and a bit more forgiving. I think golf is a really forgiving sport. You've got to realize you're not a robot and you can't hit every single shot perfectly. And I think Huang at 17 is already starting to learn that and already starting to show that kind of composure. The other person I wanted to shout out, though, was Shannon Tan, who fired the round of 9 under, which was the final round, best round of the day. Now, didn't Shannon Tan play with you in the Aussie Open Pro-Am at the beginning of the year?
Inspired her to everything she has become, Soph. She took a lot from me, being guided around Kooyonga. And yeah, it's no real surprise that after the influence that I've had, she's gone on to become a real threat in an event like this. So yeah, congratulations to the Singaporean Shannon Tan.
Well, I found it funny because actually Shannon Tan in her interview said how she got to a real lull at the start of the season and it had really been poor form golf. And I thought, must have been that round with Ben Hook really just put her off her game. But she's back at it now that she hasn't had to have a round of you in the last 6 months.
Yeah. No, so she's a ripper. She is a little bit more introverted than Anna Huang. Of course, I spent 4 hours with her, and her caddy very chatty, and she is very, very focused. Is probably a reasonable word. She wasn't unpleasant. She was very pleasant company, but a little bit more focused and reserved than Anna Huang. She was the number 1 on the LET Order of Merit, I think, last year. So no real surprise that she's in and around the mark pretty regularly this time around. Of course, this all coincided with the US Amateur, Soph. We were very much had a vested interest in this because of Reagan Denton. Just give us the explanation of how it all played out.
Well, Asterix Talley is the winner of the US Women's Amateur. Another, I think she might be pretty young as well. She'd only be about 20-something years old. And she won 8 and 6, 9 birdies and an eagle in that final 36 holes, which is great to see. Particularly, a lot of our listeners will remember our discussions around Anwar and having to watch poor Asterix Talley on that 12th hole take a drop into the bunker, and it was an absolute disaster. And all the commentators were talking about it's pretty hard to come back from something like that. But Asterix Talley has just continued to play amazing golf, and to go from that kind of heartbreak after being a 54-hole leader at the Anwar to completely basically self-destruct in the last 9 holes, the back 9 holes, and to hand over the Anwar trophy, to then turn around and win the US Am is exceptional. It is a completely draining competition. It's long. There's a stroke round at the start, and then there's match play, which means you just start from complete scratch. So for Asterix Talley, it's an amazing win. And I'm actually I think she's a senior at college, so she'll be hopefully turning to the LPGA Tour pretty soon. But our Aussies did exceptionally well. We had Ella Skaysbrook, Jazzy Roberts, Reagan Denton and Rachel Lee, as well as Amy Hodgkins, all make the match play, which is the top 64. Jazzy Roberts was the best performing Australian in the stroke round, finishing 13th. Unfortunately, our Reagan Denton didn't advance past round 32. She lost in extra holes. She actually lost on the 20th hole. And you can go over to the USAM Instagram page and you can actually watch that play, those last few holes, hole by hole, shot by shot. And unfortunately, she did lose to an incredible birdie from her opponent, which made an exceptional up and down from, I want to say, about 70 metres. But our best performing Aussies were Ella Skaysbrook and Rachel Lee, who both made it to round 16 but didn't make it past there. It was actually Rachel Lee played the eventual winner, Asterix Talley, and she only lost 3 and 2, so an exceptional performance from Rachel Lee.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So just back onto Asterix Talley, who took out the title in the end. She was 1 down through 8 holes and won 9 holes out of the next 21. So that is just one of the most dominant performances. And yeah, as you said, great for her to exact some revenge on the sport after what it did to her at the Augusta National Women's Amateur. Reagan, I think that pretty much brings her time in the US from the perspective of all of those amateur tournaments to a bit of a close. She'll be, of course, returning for school shortly. But how do you assess what she's done over there first time, including a win, which was really, really impressive?
I think it's been an incredible performance from Reagan. She should be insanely proud. Making the match play at the US Am full stop is a massive achievement in itself. And as soon as you go to match play, it is anyone's game. I mean, her opponent could have had a quadruple bogey on one of the holes and Reagan's birdied it, and all it means is one hole won. It doesn't mean anything more than that, which is unusual, very unusual in golf tournaments. And it's actually the stroke rounds where Reagan has really performed, which is very good to see, considering if she wants to make a career out of golf and if she wants to turn professional, will be those 72-hole events that she wants to be performing at. So Reagan, an incredible effort. I am really excited, hopefully, to see her when she's back home, but she's only back home for about a week, and then she'll be going off and jetting off and starting her college career.
Excellent, Soph. Wonderful wrap up. Why don't we head to Mount Rushmore while we're in the United States? So Mount Rushmore is the part of the show where we focus in on a particular number of hole across all of the golf courses in South Australia, and we pick out our best 4 that we put on Mount Rushmore. Soph, I'll invite you to start. Looks like we're going to have an agreement for the first time in history of Mount Rushmore. But why don't you pick out we're talking about the 6th hole here, by the way. Why don't you pick out your best 6th holes, the best 4 across South Australia?
I've gone to Grange West, which is a par 5 for women and a par 4 for men, a relatively long par 4 for the men. I always go back to this, and I think it's Neil Crafter hates when there's a par 4 for women and a par 5 for women and a par 4 for men, but I actually quite enjoy it as a woman. It makes it a little bit easier for me, but this is an exceptional hole. It's a bit of a narrow shoot. You can hit a driver over the hill, and then you come into a narrow green, which is super narrow at the front. So if you can't, surrounded by 2 short bunkers, which were absolutely miserable, particularly if they put a front pin there. I've seen a lot of players go bunker to bunker over there. It kind of reminds me of the 16th hole at Royal Adelaide, where you're going from bunker to mound and bunker to mound, and it's horrible. I think this is an exceptional hole. It kind of does reward the longer hitters, but for a shorter hitter, it's a pretty tempting pitch shot as well, where you've really got to control your spin and not roll over the back.
Yeah, really good, Soph. Take us on to number 2.
Well, talking about loving par 5s in the 6th hole, I've gone straight to Mount Osmond, which has the bunkers on the left off the tee shot and OB out to the right. A big netting has now been placed at Mount Osmond. It's been there for a while because apparently there were too many balls going off into the houses. Though I have heard, I don't know if it's a reliable source, that actually when they first put that netting in, the first tee shot actually still managed to slice it straight over the net, still into the neighbour's property. So I don't know how successful the netting has been, but at least they've made an attempt to fix it. But this is an awesome hole. I find it incredibly challenging. It's super narrow off the tee with a sloping left to right green. It's all uphill. It's incredibly hard. There's a bunker on the front right of the green. There's a nasty little grassy hollow down to the left-hand side, and there's a big, massive slope that runs directly through the middle of the hole, which means if they put any pins in that back right, it's so easy to spin it off the green and either spin it off to the front left portion of that green or straight into the bunker. It's an awesome hole, and I really like it. I've won and lost a lot of matches at Mount Osmond on the 6th hole.
Yeah, well, Mount Osmond is going to be a feature of the next few holes. I think there's some excellent ones coming up, but that's a really good one for you to identify. Such an exacting approach, whether you are long as a male and trying to reach that 1 in 2, or even with a wedge in your hands, there are so many pitfalls. Over the back is dangerous, short right, and into that big deep bunker. Very, very difficult to get up and down from there. Good hole, Soph. Well done. Number 3.
Flagstaff, the 6th hole, another long par 4 for the boys and a short par 5 for the women, which, as I've said, actually, I found it really hard.
Raging against you, he'll be tuning in and shaking his fist.
And I purposely didn't choose the Royal Adelaide 6th hole because I thought I can't do this many in a row. But I've gone with the Flagstaff. It was actually the first eagle I've ever made in my life, was at the Flagstaff 6th hole as a younger kid, not really that young, but still a bit young. I reckon I would have been 18, 19 when I made my first ever eagle. But it's such a great hole. The hole slopes from the right to left on the fairway, but there's a big, nasty gum tree on the right-hand side. So even though you're trying to hang on to the right-hand side off the tee, you then have a very, very difficult decision as to whether or not you want to punch this shot underneath the gum tree or try and hit it over the top. But it's another hole with a really narrow chute coming into the green, and it all runs front to back. You've got 2 bunkers on either side. I think it's just an exceptional hole. And I also love this hole because I'm going to find it hard not to choose a 7-foot Flagstaff, which is an incredible par 3. But listeners are going to have to wait until next week whether or not I actually end up choosing that hole. But it's a good kind of like view. You're running all downhill and you just know you're about to hit this amazing par 3.
Yeah, no, well done, Soph. And wrap us up with your final member of your Mount Rushmore 6th holes in South Australia.
I've headed to the Padawalunga, hole 6. It's a dogleg par 4. It's only about 340 metres off the tip. So you have to aim at the right-hand bunker off the tee, and then you've just got a short iron into the green, a bunker on the right hand of the green. It's a bit of a simpler hole, but I just really enjoy it. I think it is still difficult. I reckon it's only about 200 metres from the ladies' tee, and there is an option to try and cut the corner if you're feeling a bit ballsy.
Yeah, I just reckon classic design here, Soph. So there's water running down the left of this hole. You bring it into play and then you give yourself a wonderful opportunity straight up the green. If you hit it out to the right towards the bunkers and the mounting over on the right-hand side, you do have a really awkward approach, longer approach coming over that bunker to a green that isn't really receptive to the line you're coming in from. So well identified. Soph, I will through mine very quickly. You're at Grange West, I'm at Grange East. I think this has been one of the triumphs of the Greg Norman redesign of the East course. I think that 6th hole is excellent. Same as what I was just sort of referring to. So you have the sandy waste area of the water over on your right-hand side. And if you're prepared to take it on and bring it into play, you have a very, very straightforward approach up that green. But most people tend to play hard out to the left, even bringing the 7th fairway into play. And there is some rough there that does make it awkward. But coming in from over on that side is a really, really difficult approach. So I think it is excellent, good golf course architecture and design from Norman, and it's one of my favourite holes. Maybe my favourite, probably in my top 5 favourite holes out of the entire Grange complex. I reckon that's a really clever hole. The second place I'm going to go to is the Vines, which is a par 3. It's a longish par 3, but plays downhill. I think it's everything you want from a long par 3. It is very expansive and generous. It's not super tricked up. It's a very fair green. It's a lovely downhill aspect. You're right at the highest point of the course in that southeastern corner of the course, coming back down the hill there. I reckon that's just a good, fun golf hole to play. And I'm not a huge fan of long par 3s, but I think they get everything absolutely right with that one. You come off that really difficult par 5 with that awkward approach into that sort of that green that's on the side of the hill there. And then I think coming back down the hill and playing that long par 3 is a good fun hole. And then my 4th is Mount Compass, and this is an iconic hole of this golf course. It's the classic risk reward. You can take on all of the hazard that is staring right in front of you, or you can play out towards the left-hand side and work it around. We've mentioned Neil Crafter many times here. It is a triumph of this course, and there is so many of them, but I think this might be his best hole. Take driver over the right-hand side, or do you lay it up over on the left-hand side? The layup isn't easy. If you're long, that's not the end of it just by carrying that hazard. There's a bunker over on the right as well. It does make it a lot of fun, a lot of thinking, depending on what you want to do. So that's my 4, Soph, for Mount Rushmore on our 6 holes. And yeah, we're going to be fighting over a few next week, I reckon, because Flagstaff's going to be in it. Royal Adelaide's going to be in it. There's going to be a couple of tough challenges. Why don't we wrap it up, though, with the favourite part of the week for me, because it's really easy, and that's Who Am I?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's give another crack. I feel like I've always done horrible at these Who Am I's, so I'm up for the task yet again.
Well, who am I? So just for those of you who are relatively new listeners, I take on the guise of a South Australian golf hole. I'll give Sophie some clues as to who I am. And before those clues run out, I expect that Sophie will have the answer on who it is. We try and make sure that it is a hole that Sophie would have played or probably should know. So that's a bit of a start point for you. All right, Sophie, here we go. Who am I? I am a par 4 measuring 368 metres from the men's tees and 323 metres from the women's tees. For the men, I am index number 1, and for the women, I am index number 5. So I am not a hole you want to underestimate. Clue number 3. This is a big dog leg right to left, and my tee shot presents a choice. take on the bunker on the left to gain a better position down the fairway, or play safely out to the right and leave yourself a longer second shot. Now, clue 4 and 5, I reckon, starts to really open it up for you. The bunker that we're talking about on the left isn't really there to catch a bad drive. It would have to catch a significantly bad one. It is a target bunker. Carry it and you find the middle of the fairway, or you can play out right if you don't think you can carry it. Now, that bunker replaced a really thick vegetation area, which was over on the left-hand side of the hole, and that has largely been cleaned out now to become, beautiful pine trees and a sandy waste area that beforehand, if you hit it in there, the ball was almost certainly lost, and now you've got an opportunity to at least try and wedge it out back onto the fairway. My second shot can be one of the toughest approaches you'll face on a par 4, particularly when the prevailing wind is into your face. At least 2/3 of my green is visible from the fairway, but there's a really interesting pin position over on the back right where the base of the flag is hidden from view. How are we going so far? I can see you're taking some notes there. Just want to make sure you've caught up.
Yeah, I've caught up. I've still got absolutely no idea.
All right. My green has rolling mounds and bowls, and one particular section has been shaped into a punch bowl. Now, there are two, it's a really distinctive green. There are 2 low points, sort of front left and back right, and there's a high, narrow saddle which runs through the middle of the green. And a pin placement on this high saddle can be absolutely treacherous. So, on approach, low point, and this big high saddle running through the middle. There is a big bunker front right of the green, and the best miss is to the left of this green. I am part of the front 9 of the Live golf course layout at Grange. So that means I'm on the back 9 of the East course.
Yep. I'm having to go through all the back 9 holes now.
This is good. You're starting to close in on it.
You said it was right to left?
Right to left dogleg.
Par 4?
Par 4. Bunker carry over on the left-hand side that replaced... There's still a bit of a, there's some rough over on the left-hand side. But there's a bunker there now that gives you a line of sight to carry and sort of into a little bit of a valley, sort of a shallow valley, if you like, over the other side of that bunker down to what is you would regard as the mayor's office on approach.
Yeah, and you said there's a front bunker on the right-hand side of the green?
Front bunker right-hand side of the green that is quite significant.
Yeah, so it's, is it the 14th?
You've got it, Soph. Well done.
I was trying to, this is the problem, because they have Live there now, Hooky. I can't remember what hole number is what hole number at Grange.
Yes.
So I was starting to think, I know this is a Grange golf hole, and I was starting to visualise it, and I thought, I've got no idea what number it is, though.
On Live, they take out the second hole, which is the 11th, and replace it with the 9th. So that just adds to the degree of difficulty with Live as well. The front 9, if you like, is the back 9 of the East course.
I think it's about the 5th or the 6th at Live. I'm picturing it, and I was like, I can picture the hole. I've got no idea what number it is. So half the time I'm just doing math trying to work out what hole's hole.
Got it in one, Soph. Well done. Congratulations, finally. That was a little bit of a struggle towards the end. I might just have to give you a few more half volleys on the clues. But yeah, that's it. It's the 14th on the East course at the Grange. Well, it's a great hole too, I've got to say.
Oh, it's an amazing hole. But just so we're clear, we're talking all 18 holes at in South Australia. That's a lot of golf holes that are going through my head all at once.
Well, I mean, there is probably not too many people that I would want to put such a high bar for the test on, but you, with all of your experience and insight and expertise, I don't think it's too much to ask, Soph.
Well, I have had a few listeners wanting me to start doing some of the clues and see whether or not you can guess some of the holes. So you never know. Maybe we can turn this around a little bit.
Sure, we can flip it around anytime you like. It'll be a lot of fun. Always a great show. Thank you to Blair Christie. Congratulations to him. Sophie, always a big thank you to you. Look forward to doing it with you all again next week, mate.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Hooky. Have a good one.
See ya.